All right, part 9 of the 24-inch rebuild. What we're gonna do today is install the chain. The bike is ready to go. The only other change potentially is to swap out this little seat. Whoever had it originally probably messed up the seat and just swapped it out for a little kid's bike. But we're gonna install this chain. So this is a 7-speed chain. Typically 6, 7, 8-speed chains are gonna be the same. They're gonna be interchangeable because of the width and then the other factors that go into it. These are chain pliers. They're basically what this is going to do at the end is help us put the quick link together. This is a chain breaker. This little pin will push through the chain so that we can size it. This little metal piece here, it's like a little coat hanger. It'll help us hold the chain together while we do that. And then we need just a Sharpie or other type of marker to mark the chain. So get the camera all set up and then we'll walk through how to install it. Alright, so I got the chain pulled out. I'm going to show it here. This open end here, this is what's called an inner link. Then the link after it is an outer link because it's on the outer side. Then you have inner, again the small one, and then the outer. We're going to put the chain on the largest cog up front and the largest cog in the back. And then we're going to count where it meets over two inner links, and we'll mark that one to cut. And then we're going to join it together. So this is how I do this chain sizing. It's what I learned from Calvin at Park Tool. He's their director of education. You can find his videos on YouTube as well. So I'm going to pull this up and get it set up here. Try not to block it, but simultaneously get it correct. So I might have to pull it up a little bit. And this pedal is just in the way, so let me just rotate it away. So the inner link's up here. Typically I do it down here, but for the video I'm going to try and do it up here. Make sure everything is seated. I'm going to pull it up, and then I'm going to match until I have an inner link. So this pin right here would release an inner link, and that's where these two are joining up. So then I want to count 2 over, 1, 2. So this is the one right here that I want to cut. So pull a Sharpie, I'm going to mark it. I'm going to mark it pretty heavily. It's not going to necessarily stick, and your oil from your hand can take this off. So you want to make sure you mark it really well. I'm going to pull that off now. Then with the chain breaker, let me stand behind the camera here. I'm going to cut, and I'm going to do this as well. I'm going to cut this link. So I'm going to put the link inside the chain cutter here, or the chain breaker, and then I'm going to twist, and that pin is going to drive out the old connecting pin. So do that, and back it out. You can actually find these kits online, so if you buy a new chain, some of them actually will come with the chain breaker so that you have it for future use. So now that we got the chain sized, we're going to thread it through the bike. So we'll make sure we go through the front derailleur. We'll have to make sure we go through the rear derailleur correctly. There's some tabs here that you have to make sure you weave the chain through correctly. If not, you'll hear it. If you've installed it correctly, it's going to be very loud. So I'm going to start with that here. I'm going to move the front cage over just a bit so it's not sliding off. Okay. Then, like I was showing earlier, this coat hanger, I can't see behind it, so I got to do this. This little piece here, you attach it so that when you pull the chains together, it acts as another hand for you. And you can actually put the chain together without having to hold and simultaneously push. So now what we're going to use, and this comes with the chain, unless you have a chain with the rivet in it. These are the Master Link connectors. essentially this goes in one side, this goes in the other, and then they marry up. Again, hard to show, plus I have fat fingers. It marries up like, so I ran out of video again, so I had to go delete something, apologize. So the master links sit together, they sit into these channels, and then you'll use the pliers once they're connected to actually pull the chain apart and then snap them together. So that's what holds it together. So I'm gonna put one side in here. The other side in like that. Push them together. Okay, so you'll hear a very slight click. That means it's seated in there. Now what I'm going to do is put my pliers in and pull. Okay, and now the chain's connected. So we haven't tuned it yet, so this first spin might be a bit clunky. But the chain is essentially on now. Get all this cleared up. And you can see it shifting again because we haven't tuned the rear yet. But yeah, now we've got the chain on. What we're going to need to do is get this all tuned up. We'll use the limiting screws to do that. Same thing with this rear derailleur. We'll use our limiting screws to get it right where we need to be. Potentially adjust the tension with the cable adjusters or the barrel adjusters here. And yeah, that's it. We'll be ready for a test ride. Alright, so I mentioned this in one of the earlier videos, but without any tension, and it would help to have the right socket size, without any tension on the rear cable, your rear shifting cable, so I'm going to just undo the tension altogether. So you can see the cable's off. The cage should still be lined up with the highest gear, which is your smallest cog. So I'm going to spin it here, and you could hear it's noisy and it just jumped off. So what's happening is the lower limit or the high limiting screw, which is for the small cog, is not correctly set. So we're going to set the high limiting screw up. We're going to tighten it so we can push the cage over, and then that'll keep it from jumping off. We want it centered on there as possible. So I'm going to tighten that up. We're going to spin it up again. Now it's nice and quiet and it's not jumping off. So this is where we'll reattach the cable. So again, you want to make sure you have some variability here in the barrel adjuster, and then up front you want to make sure you're all the way forward, since this is a grip shifter, meaning that it's intending to be in this gear. If you have it shifted up and then tighten it, you're not going to be able to tune the bike. So all the way forward as if you're in this gear. Again, there's no tension, so it doesn't matter. It's not making any noise. This is set, and now we can reattach the cable. Alright, so I reattached the cable. Now we're going to start shifting. This is an index shifter, so if I click it once, it should go up. So you can hear it. It's clicking because it's not making it all the way. So you want to loosen the barrel adjuster. It's a little counterintuitive, but I'm going to loosen the barrel adjuster, and now it made the jump up. When you loosen this, you're effectively increasing how long the cable has to go to travel, which increases the tension. So I'm going to shift it back down, and I'm going to do it again. So just one click up, and it made the jump. We're going to test the next gear. Same thing, it's good to go. And the last one, and it's not wanting to make it. What's probably happening there is the low limiting screw is causing us a little bit of issues. So we'll back that out a little bit, but overall the rear derailleur is good. Alright, now it's time to work on the front derailleur. So the rear, we're in the highest gear, which is the largest, and then this is shifted all the way over and is in the lowest. The chain should almost hit the inner side of the cage, not the outer. So I mentioned this earlier too, potentially in the other video, that without any tension here, it's the same type of situation in the back. Without any tension, there is a alignment that needs to be present. In this case, the cage needs to be almost hitting the chain, but from the other side. So this is where we adjust the low limiting screw here. And what this is going to do, is it's going to push the cage out towards us. So I'm going to get this cage pushed over. And now, without any tension, the cage is almost hitting the chain while it's in the largest gear. So now what we'll do is we'll make sure the front is all the way over, just like the back, so that once we apply the cable, we'll be able to push it over and we'll be good to go. So the only other limit to check would be the high limiting screw. In this case, since there's a guard here, if the chain falls off, it's not the end of the world, but we still want to make sure that's not going to happen. So I'm going to reattach the cable and then we'll check out the shifting. All right, so I got the cable reattached. Now what we're going to do is run through the gears. So I'm going to shift it up. We made it to the middle. I'm going to shift the rear down a few. And then now I'm going to run it up. Gets on the largest cog, no issues. So we're good to go. Don't really think we need to do much else. So let me pull this down and then we'll swap out the seat and take some pictures. Obviously it'll be a video because it's YouTube for Marketplace and then for Facebook. That's what I mean. And then we'll do a test ride. All right, so the bike looks amazing overall. I got to put a kickstand on it, so I can't go set it up where I normally take pictures. But it looks really nice overall. Really happy with it. I'll get back to the regular zoom here. You can see it just looks beautiful. It's just amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the camera up, go take it out for a quick test ride. Hopefully I don't look too stupid. And yeah, we'll call it at that. Really nice, fun bike to build, and I hope it was enjoyable for everybody else as well. So here's our test ride. That's what the bike looks like. So hopefully I don't fall. Brakes are good. Driveway is now marked. It looks good. Ride's good. I think we're good to go.